Welcome to another edition of 822 News for Friday, May 7, 2021. I'm Julian Cruz. This news streaming service is geared to keep you informed of developing and interesting news stories affecting the Belizean society. 822 News has been created to offer an outlet and invite individuals to share newsworthy issues which impacts us all as a people. The ongoing negotiations between the trade unions and the government of Belize resume on Thursday for day 2 of discussions at the House of Culture in Belize City. It was expected that the meeting would run long because 9 of the 11 points put forward by the unions were yet to be discussed. Those points were not raised and the meeting came to an abrupt end by early afternoon. The media subsequently learned that what transpired at the meeting and why talks broke down. 1. Public officers are being victimized at their place of work. As a result of the victimization that is happening with termination and transfers, that discussion broke down. The unions have threatened legal action against government for this reprehensible behavior. There is a silver lining, however, as it was reported that after intense discussions, 3 members of the ministerial team gave union assurances that the victimization would stop forthwith. 2. False information was circulating that there was an offer on the table, a proposal that nurses and frontline workers were to be exempted from the salary cut. It was revealed that this was a statement made by the Minister of Health and Wellness, Michelle Shabat. However, APSSM President Sharon Fraser refuted that information, saying it was never discussed at any point during talks. So how could they accept or reject anything that never came to them? The ministerial team indeed confirmed that, quote, that the offer never came to the table. The trade unions are saying that Minister Shabat needs to publicly apologize as is misinformation which could cause greater damage than good to an already fatigued process. 3. The union's negotiating team stands firm on its membership's position that they are not in agreement with the salary cut. That salient point was clearly laid out during ongoing talks. The meeting ended at that point. There will be further discussions next week. The pressure is building, however, after the failure of this recent stage of discussions. There was hope for breakthrough and reduction from the 10% cut to something more palpable. New offers have been made by GOB, but that is no guarantee of an amicable solution. The negotiating teams will reconvene for talks in the course of next week, and that is to address the 11 points and GOB's new proposals. But today, unions showed up in Belize City to voice their sustained discontent with the government.
This is the scene at Memorial Park. Teachers getting ready to demonstrate. Teachers from across the country and PSU members as well. Okay? And they keep coming from north to south, east to west. Teachers and public servants are out here demonstrating their rights.
And again, they took to the streets of the city in a show of solidarity for government workers and also for fair play and good governance.
Okay, from Swing Bridge all the way to Belizean Bridge, sea of yellow and green, teachers and public servants out here fighting for their rights. Good governance, nepotism, corruption, and their 10% salary cut. From Belizean Bridge all the way over to Swing Bridge.
Parliament, however, has approved the new fiscal budget, which includes a 10% pay cut, and it has been cleared the Public Service Minister has legal right to set salaries and wages of public officers. It seems that these consultations are taking place to simply fulfill legal requirements. But according to Sharon Fraser, Chief Magistrate and the APSSM President, it is essential that workers stand in solidarity and exercise their constitutional rights. We'll go for a break and be right back with more 822 News. The super bond has been sucking the economic life force out of this country for the last 15 years, and as Belize seeks to restructure this monetary monster, it is meeting resistance from bondholders. Belize's debt to GDP ratio now stands at a paralyzing 133%. Bondholders are pushing the government to accept a full IMF program to alleviate the debt pressure of $555 million over a period of 10.5 years. With the proposed restructuring, that amount could be reduced to $380 million for a duration of about 8 years. There are questions, however, about Belize's homegrown economic recovery plan and its ability to rescue our fragile economy. When asked for comment, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Chris Coye, deflected and stated that the Prime Minister would be addressing the matter soon. The Belizean administration is attempting to restructure its external debt obligation. This would be the 5th time in the past 15 years that the country has reached out to its creditors in an all-out effort to streamline the $555 million super bond. That super bond, which was introduced in the fiscal year 2006 to 2007, right now contributes significantly to the 133% of Belize's GDP to debt ratio. In a recent country review, the International Monetary Fund described it as unsustainable. Belize's economy has been seriously affected by the pandemic, and Prime Minister Belizean has gone on record stating that Belize will opt for a homegrown recovery plan and forego any IMF prescription. The next bullet payment is due on May 20, 2021. Let's switch gears and look beyond our borders. Some nurses in Japan are angry at a request from Tokyo Olympic organizers to have 500 of them recruited to help out with the games. They say they are already near the breaking point dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Olympic officials say they need 10,000 medical workers to staff the games, and the request for more nurses comes amid a new spike in the virus, with Tokyo and Osaka under a state of emergency. The appeal for more nurses is typical of the many changes coming almost daily as organizers and the International Olympic Committee try to pull off the games in the midst of a pandemic. The Olympics are set to open in just under 3 months. Japan has had its borders virtually sealed off for a year and will now need to prepare to accommodate 15,000 Olympic and Paralympic athletes and thousands of other officials, judges, and sponsors, media, and broadcasters. Japan's Federation of Medical Workers Union Secretary General Susumu Morita said the focus should be on the pandemic, not the Olympics. He said, and I quote, "We must definitely stop the proposal to send us Olympic volunteers, those nurses tasked with protecting the fight against the serious coronavirus pandemic. I am extremely infuriated by the insistence of pursuing the Olympics despite the risk of patients' and nurses' health and lives." End quote. According to a release, athletes will operate in a bubble at the Olympics, housed in the athletes' village in Tokyo Bay, and moved around in designated buses to venues and training areas. Hundreds of rooms are also reported being set up again outside the village to take those in who fall ill. Organizers will require daily testing for athletes and other participants, a monumental task for medical staff. It also contrasts with how little testing is being done for the Japanese public. A protest message saying that nurses were opposed to holding the Olympics went viral on Japanese Twitter recently, being retweeted hundreds of thousands of times. Even before the pandemic, Japanese nurses were overwhelmed and poorly paid. Many nurses worry about getting infected, with vaccination rates in Japan reportedly, and get this, only 1 to 2%. Deaths attributed to COVID-19 in Japan have just past 10,000. The British Medical Journal last month said that Japan should reconsider hosting the Olympics, arguing that international mass gathering events are still neither safe nor secure. Public opinion surveys show up to 80% of the Japanese public want the Olympics cancelled or postponed again. Much of the bill for holding Olympics, estimated officially at $15.4 billion falls on Japanese taxpayers. Just so you know, the mass outbreak affecting India right now is as a result of an annual festival of colors which saw the convergence of millions of Indians in several key cities back in March. That sadly did not end well. We'll take a break and be right back. Stay tuned. The media yesterday confirmed the sad ending in the search of a missing man, Alex Guzman. A search team made up of family and friends found Guzman's decomposing body just before 10 o'clock yesterday morning in the Yalbak Hill area of Spanish Lacombe. Guzman was in the area looking for work and was last seen alive on Saturday. What led to his death will only be confirmed after they get the results of a post-mortem examination. Guzman leaves behind his wife, 3 children, and family to mourn his passing. Our sincere condolence is extended to the family. For any contributions, comments, concerns, 822 News can be reached through maxstudio@gmail, maxstudiobelize@gmail.com, or cell number 635-1240. Stand up and speak truth, Belize. Until we see you again, have a safe